What's up, everyone? I wanted to talk to you guys, you diet veterans out there who are sick of restricting. You know it's not for you. You're struggling with losing weight. You're still wanting to improve your relationship with food, and you're looking for a long-term solution because at the end of the day, you want to lose the weight, get healthier, but you want to keep it off for the long run. Well, I'm Barbara Chris. I'm a nutritionist and weight loss coach, and you want to stick around for this video because I've got with me my beautiful client, Nikki. And together we're going to share, well, one, I'm going to share the lessons that I've learned and that now I teach my clients. But I really want you to hear it from one of my clients, how these lessons that we're going to talk about, how they've helped her kind of turn the corner in getting away from, let's say, the diets and the quick fixes and the things that we just feel are the only way to get healthy, and really turn it into a long-term solution, a lifestyle that basically sticks with you till, all the days. So with that, I wanted to welcome Nikki. Hey girl, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm really good, and I'm so thankful that you're here to share this with everyone. I've got the 5 lessons that that we've gone over together,
hmm
but I really want to take this time to kind of highlight you and your kind of like your progress, your evolution from like the diet, like
The
that
very
kind of diet mentality to where you
beginning.
are today. So maybe with that, maybe just introduce yourself, share with our audience a little bit about you and yeah, just a little bit about you and kind of
Sure.
how you started out.
Okay, so I am Nikki and I'm 40 years old, but I have been on diet since I was 10. I grew up in a home where diet culture, diet talking, diet conversation, whatever the term is, was kind
Hmm.
of just like woven into our life. So and in the 90s when everything was like fat free, it was all like snack wells and you can eat a bagel and cream cheese and it's fat free. It was like all the whole fat free thing. I grew up in
Yeah.
that. So um I at a very young age I think was hyper aware of my body and
Mm.
comparing myself to other bodies, and I ended up with a pretty bad eating disorder. So that was in my late teens, early 20s, I guess.
Mhm.
And just that kind of vortex, I guess, has like
Yeah.
stuck with me forever, where it's like you just are obsessing nonstop over food and what you're eating, how your body looks, why are you not like this? I can't eat that, but I really want to eat it. It's like
Mhm.
I think I've spent most of my adult life going back and forth in my head if I should eat the last piece of pizza.
Right.
It's like it's like you're at something that's like so wonderful and so beautiful, like a wedding or some kind of event, and you're stressing out about the food the whole time. So
Ah,
I
yeah.
feel like it has robbed me of so much joy in my life, just this like obsession with food and diets and all that. So um, I met Barbara through a mutual friend,
Mhm.
and she was kind of talking about her program. And I've done every program. I've done every diet from Atkins to South Beach to every cleanse you can think of in the entire world, all of them. And I'd never heard of her approach before. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try this one because that's how I am. And, but I fell in love with it. And it totally changed the way that I deal with food. I finally, I think, have found freedom. And I mean, it still creeps up, but I think I've found freedom in my day to day life with
Hmm.
eating. Yeah.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
I love how open you are with your story. And like just like the whole process of like you said, you've done every diet and some of the things that you've, struggled with that were real battles. And
Yeah.
and also thank you for also those kind words because, even as a coach, I know how important it is to have a solid like the method, right? Just the kind of like the tool. But I
Yeah.
also know how there's a lot more to it than just that. For something to stick for a long time and for you to carry for your whole life, there's like a lot of other things that go into it, right? It's the whole emotional thing, the
Yeah.
mental part, even the spiritual part for a lot of people.
Totally.
And so a
hmm
lot of these lessons, it's not so much like the technical stuff, like how to eat, how to weigh, or how to count macros or anything like that. It's really some of those other deeper things that for sure I've seen you kind of transition and evolve, as well as all my other clients when they go through this part. or through these different changes, it's more
Mhm.
than just learning how to like to make meals, which is important, learning how to eat and
Yeah.
portion and pair and all that. For sure, that's important. But the first lesson I wanted to kind of go over with you, and I want you to share your experience with this. So
Okay.
lesson one is this, is that self-worth isn't determined by the food eaten or the number on the scale, and
Mhm.
that to stop the self-judgment. How does that, well, what does that mean to you?
I mean, I think that is like one of the root causes of my struggles is just the shame I think that gets attached to
Mhm.
your diet failures, like you sign up for a diet and you fail and then it's like so shameful like, oh gosh, I'm like, well, I can't even be disciplined enough to do it for one day or whatever, you know what I mean, just being so hard
Yeah.
on myself. And I think as women in society we're like kind of primed to be hard on ourselves and to be our own worst critics. And so I think something that you taught me, which is really helpful, was okay. So if you slip up, you eat something that's like not part of our situation, part of our system. It happened. You moved on. You don't even think about it. It's done. You move on.
Yeah.
And like it'd be a thing for me. What I do a lot, one of my horrible habits that I had is I would wake up and I would think, today's the day. Today's the day. I'm going to do so good. I'm going to follow everything to a T. This is before I met you, but like
Yeah.
whatever my diet was, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to, write it down. I'm going to follow it, check it off. And then I'd be making, toast for my kids or whatever. And I'd be like, I'm just gonna have a piece of toast. And then my whole day would get thrown off. And it'd be
Oh,
a whole
right.
thing of like, well, then I'm gonna start tomorrow. And since today's my last day, now I'm gonna go through the drive-through. I'm gonna, take my kids for cake pops at Starbucks. Like I'm gonna do all the things. And I would just go crazy all day. And deep down, I would be like, I'm such a failure. Like I can't even do it for a day. Like I can't even wake up and in my first hour, like do what I said I'm going to do,
Yeah,
And I think that just leads to so much, and it just bleeds into other parts of your life. You know what I mean?
it
And it
does.
starts with food for me. It's such a big thing for me. I mean,
Right.
just attaching my self worth to my eating habits, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had people attach their like value to eating habits to even kinds of foods too. Like if
Yeah.
they're like they have like their good foods and maybe the bad foods, and if they have
Yeah.
any of the so-called bad foods, which is different for everyone, that they judge themselves really hard for that or on, because of that.
Yeah.
Um, and that's a big, like you said, it's a big influence on your day. And a lot of people would explain to me that it can be one thing, like in the morning, one small thing that just, like you said, trickles over for the whole day. And
Yeah.
because they feel so bad that they're like, well, because I'm bad, then I'm just gonna go ahead and whatever, be bad for
Yeah.
the rest of the day, right? And then tomorrow or Monday or whatever it is that they're thinking, I'll be all good again, all good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was, I think, probably one of the, I think for you especially too, is one of the lessons that I've seen and some of the transformations that I've seen as far as removing judgment from the food, from the scale, from the number on the
Mhm.
scale. And a lot of that comes with education and understanding. I mean, understanding ourselves for sure, but even just understanding, nutrition and some fundamental science about how our bodies work and realize like,
Yeah.
oh, it's not like I'm at fault for this. This is just kind of how bodies work. And the more we understand, the more we can kind of let go of that whole judgment and just kind of keep it
Yeah.
moving. Yeah, I
And I
love
did,
that.
yeah. And also, I will say that, like, now if I eat a piece of toast, I understand because of what you've taught me. Like, it's just a piece of toast. Now I need a protein.
Hmm.
It's like I've learned that, like, okay, it's not, I mean, and just full disclosure, I have a hard time with like wheat and grains and everything. Just I had my food intolerances tested and all that.
Right.
That's where I'm coming from with the bread being bad
Mhm.
for me. So like, but I just that's
Disclaimer.
just a disclaimer because bread's not bad for everyone. So that you taught me that like it's actually not something that ruin your whole day. You just need to balance it out with something
Yeah,
so it's balanced.
I love
So
that.
in a way it's kind of cool because then I can eat something else too and not feel bad.
Yeah, right. You just kind of learn more. It's like you're just
You
you're
just
just
gotta
eating
learn how.
smarter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here's lesson number two. Ready for
Okay.
it, girl? Okay,
Yep.
so number two is this: small, consistent behaviors are better than big plans that you can't stick to. So
Yes.
essentially, being consistently imperfect is better than being inconsistently perfect. Does that
Yes.
make sense?
Totally.
What does that mean for you?
I think what it really boils down to is it's the daily little decisions that lead
Mhm.
up to your bigger goals. When you have the big goal in your mind, but you don't do the daily steps,
Mm.
or if you can't attain a small goal, how are you going to attain a big goal? You know what I mean? And like
Yes.
for me, it's like, okay, when I first was with you, I was like, okay, I want to lose weight, I want to do this, I'm inflamed, I want to do all this. And it's like you can have a picture in your head of like, all right, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. Well, guess what? I only lost 10 pounds, but I lost inches, I lost inflammation, I'm sleeping better, I'm doing so much more. The scale for me was not the biggest change. And so if I
Mhm.
had been hung up on the 20 pounds, 20 pounds, 20 pounds, then like I would have been like, I'm a failure. I didn't do those things. You know
Mm.
what I mean? But my
Yeah.
day-to-day routine improved so much to where I have freedom from my food issues. So the bigger goals, I do, so they've shifted. I don't really have that same goal anymore. But I don't know.
Right.
I think if you have a hard time being consistent with the little goals, you're never going to make the big goals. And then I think that becomes attached to the shame and failure thing.
Oh yeah, I really like how you added that, or how you um, answered that question. Is that you also mentioned the fact that you have to be realistic,
Yeah.
and then like so those smaller steps or those daily consistent behaviors, being realistic with that. And I think that's where a lot of times we sort of self-sabotage ourselves, almost like we can be our own worst enemy when it comes to
Yeah.
the things that we want to do. And we put these very unrealistic goals or expectations on ourselves, just thinking that I think a lot of times this is from comparison too, because we're kind of looking at other people and what we
Totally.
think,
Hmm.
right? What we think they're doing, or what we think, how we think they're progressing. And then we fail to give ourselves credit for those things that we're doing really well every day, even if
Yeah.
they're small things. But that is like key. I like to tell my clients all the time that that consistent behavior, if there's any kind of secret sauce, that's the secret sauce where you can
Totally.
be consistently on point with these little behaviors that just help you step up your game.
Yeah. And I mean, that whole thing of like failure to plan is planning to fail, that whole
Mm.
thing.
Yeah.
It's like if you're not planning and you're not taking care of it on a day-to-day basis, like you're not, I mean, I'm not trying to use the word fail like how I was using before, but it's like planning to fail. Like you're not going to reach your goals if you can't do the everyday little things. And let me tell you, the everyday little things are so much harder when you're trying to switch a habit than it is to do these like extreme things where you lose weight fast, but then it comes right back on. Like for me, because I'm an extremist, I can do the extreme things.
Yeah.
I can lose the weight, but it never stays off. It's harder for me to make those little daily habits, but then once you do them, becomes
Right.
just part of it.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
longer you do them, which I really think this is going to lead to lesson three. So,
Okay.
lesson three is this journey or your journey will require you to accept change and remain coachable, that you have to let go of the need to be right and seek what is true.
Hmm.
Oh man. So, I think what you just kind of talked about sort of like leads to that. What is your take on that? That the journey will require you to accept change and remain coachable?
I think the biggest thing that I kept telling you, Barbara, was like, I can't believe how much of this stuff, for as many diets and as many things I've learned in the fitness world and diet world and all this stuff, like this is all
Yeah.
new to me. Like I'd never heard of it being done this way before. And it was the thing that changed it for me. I feel like we just have so much information coming at us that we think we know things, and maybe they do work in the short, like whatever, the short term or whatever, but I think the biggest thing for me was like being willing to learn a new way of doing things with
Yeah.
somebody who is a legit expert.
Yeah.
I had to really rewire the way I thought about food.
That,
Uh,
oh, that's
yeah.
major. And I think where a lot of people can, when they're probably hearing you say that, they're like, how? How did you rewire it?
How?
Because
Yeah.
I want to know how to rewire.
You got to sign up with Barbara.
Yeah. I would say, and for you, you put in the work. I mean, you
I
put in the
did.
work, like you were diligent and you have been diligent. And I think, I don't know, maybe, you can share. I think a lot of your past experience, I think also made you well aware of what you didn't want to do.
Totally. I mean,
right?
that's a huge part of it was that, like, for me, I don't want to weigh myself all the time. I did it just
Mhm.
for Barbara so we can get our like marks, or whatever. But like,
Yeah,
I don't want to weigh myself all the time. I don't want to measure my food. I'm not counting any of my calories. I'm not putting my stuff into an app. And I told her ahead of time, like, all I'm going to do is send you pictures because that will
mhm,
take me down a really bad path if I
right,
start being super conscious of like, okay, I gotta enter it into my app and write down everything that I'm eating.
right.
That to me is for my personal experience, that was something I did when I was like in my eating disorder
Yeah.
year. So
Right. Which is, I think, another, important note is that your journeys, the health, weight loss journeys are so personal, right? Because you just specifically said there are certain things for you that would trigger you. Where for one of my other clients, they love that part of
they
it,
need
right?
it.
It's so
Yeah.
unique. And I think again, where comparison can be, or when you think you're comparing to how, well, if it's working for them, then I should be able to do that. And I think
Right.
that's where, we rob ourselves of our potential, right? Of just
Yeah.
understanding, hey, you know what? Let me just accept me who I am,
Yeah.
be willing to learn new things, maybe be coachable, but still honor who I am. I mean, that's
Yeah.
important, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going through these good, nice and quickly here. So
Yeah.
four, lesson number four is lasting changes require investment, an investment of your time, of your commitment, and your patience. Health isn't a quick fix or a 30-day challenge. So this is a big one, is just
Hmm.
knowing that your effort, your time, your commitment is going to be required for a long-term result, or for results that last a lifetime or that you can sustain.
Yeah.
What's your take, girly?
Well, I'm the queen of the 30-day challenge. So I'm the queen of the 30-day shake system challenge, whatever. I'm the queen
I
of
didn't
it.
know
I bought
I
them
didn't know
all.
you had that honor.
I mean, I just gave it to myself, but yeah. So here's my take on it is that I think the biggest thing with working with you, Barbara, was, well, two things. One, the financial investment for me was a
Yeah.
big driving force
Mhm.
because I have spent $400 to $500 or so on each 30-day system. And then the 30 days runs out and it's like, well, I got to buy stuff again. You know what I
Right.
mean? It wasn't
Mhm.
something that I learned. It was something I became dependent on, was like these products. And so it was the financial investment, knowing that this is the last time probably that I'm going to have to put money towards my health goals,
Yeah.
because it was always the thing of like, okay, I feel really horrible about myself. I'm going to go online and order a 30-day system and I'm going to do it. And I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't mentally be ready for it. My body was not in a place to have it. And I would waste the money. And so for me, the financial investment was really, really important for me to
Right.
really, what did you say in the beginning? It was like
Oh, like your investment of
skin in
time
the
and
game.
commitment, all of that
Yeah, like there
effort.
was no skin in the game for me before, and I wasn't accountable to anybody except for myself. I mean, they have
Yeah.
coaches and stuff, but it's not the same. So I loved the accountability, and it helped me stay consistent to like have our check-ins. And then every week I was learning something new. So I was actually learning about health and the research that's out about it, and all of that. And so I think for me, the investment, yes, it was the time, but I'm used to investing time into,
Mm.
stuff like that. So the investment of time wasn't huge for me personally. I think the biggest things that were helpful for me was the investment of my finances. And then I guess my investment of time, considering the weekly visits and stuff
Yeah.
was important for me. So
And
like the
commitment.
accountability, the commitment, stuff like
Yeah.
that. I mean, it was really important to have somebody to check in with every week.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think that most of us do well, whatever it is in life that you're trying to improve or change or learn, when you're accountable to someone, or you have a
Oh,
coach or a
huge
mentor,
difference.
or right, or skin expert that's looking
Or
out for
your
your
boss,
skin,
boss
right?
at work. Yeah.
Exactly. They
You're
kind of
accountable
keep
to
you
your
on
team,
your toes.
everything. Yeah.
Because otherwise, I think it's natural to feel like, oh, maybe I can give myself a break today. And then that break becomes, 2 weeks.
For
Like,
you.
oh, damn, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, damn. I didn't know that much time would go like so fast. So
Yeah.
being accountable, and like you said, having skin in the game, it makes a big difference, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I think we're a lot of times, I know there's a lot of information out there, and there's some really good information out there too. But sometimes when things come so easy, there's a difference between having a ton of information and then actually taking the like taking action on it, executing
Yeah,
on that information.
totally.
Two totally different things. And I think that sometimes because there's so much free information, like these little just bits of things that you can
Yeah,
do, it's not enough to sustain a full-on program or full-on system that actually helps you get to where you want to be.
yeah,
So, so some people, I think that sometimes they think, oh, maybe I'm just not cut out for it. And I would say, no, that's not the case. You're just not finding the right system that fits and that
system.
actually can carry you the full way, not just like a
Yeah,
little blip of information. Okay,
yeah,
so the next one, or the last one, I should say, the last lesson is this. It is there's a difference between allowing more flexibility in your nutrition and a food free for all. Does that make sense? Like
yeah,
that kind of like black and white thinking when it comes to food, that you can basically have better health and enjoy life, and it can be done together. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
right.
What's your take on that?
I mean, I think that's the extreme black or white diet culture thinking, is that if you
Yeah.
don't do it perfectly, then you might as well just don't do it at all. Just go
Mhm.
crazy, go ham on the pizza, whatever.
Yeah.
Pun intended. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's like a giving yourself, like allowing yourself to have the things that you enjoy without that shame attached to it. I think
Mm.
that's the biggest thing, and my issue was that I would have a free for all and then I would restrict for days to make up for it. And I
Mhm.
think now I've learned how, if I want something, like I love to bake with my kids. It's like our favorite memory making thing to do. It's like so
Aw.
special to me. And I love seeing them do it and making their creations and all of that. And so
Aw.
for me, it's like, how many times I've been on a diet and my son's like, Mom, I made this. You want to try it? And I'm like, I can't eat that. I'm not doing sugar. Or I can't eat that. I'm not doing whatever. And
Oh.
it kind of takes away from that, and he's like proud of what he made. And I'm like, I can't do it. So now it's like, yes, I can have it. I can try it. I
Mhm.
know that like I'm going to have one and I'll be satiated. I'm not going to have to eat the whole thing because I'm not restricting all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, that whole black and white diet mentality thinking, it
Yeah.
just like you said, it kind of like just soaks in or like seeps into all kinds of different things.
Everything.
And I think that what's really key here, for those of you listening in, is that like what we shared in the beginning is like, yes, I teach a methodology. I teach a science-based, evidence-based methodology, like a hands-on thing that you can learn. But what we're seeing, or what I see more importantly, and I think even Nikki's a great example of this, is that yes, that's important, but there's all these other things from the mindset standpoint,
Yeah.
individual, understanding the individual, meeting them where they are, why that is so important, and why I wanted to do this video, because I'm thinking this is the stuff that's missing that people don't really talk about when it comes to
Totally.
losing weight, getting healthier, and doing so for life. They're talking about these different, like, these like kind of hacks, like these
Yeah.
30-day hacks, things like that.
Yeah.
There's no discussion of the part that there's a person involved here, and
Yeah.
you're very unique. And like, Nikki, you are a mom and a wife and an entrepreneur. You run your own spa, and in fact, you're at your spa right now, making time for me to do this, and
Yeah.
juggling so many things. In fact, you were just at like a seminar or an expo this last weekend. You're a busy lady, and so there are things that won't work for you that might work for other people, and
Yeah.
we have to, I think, acknowledge that and accept that, as far as part of our journey. I mean, it's just one
Yeah.
of those things, honor ourselves. And so, maybe before I kind of close, maybe is there anything else that you'd want to share that I didn't touch on?
No, but I just had a visual thing that might help someone that I just thought of. In California, how we have earthquakes and how
Yes.
they say that aftershocks are good because it kind of releases the pressure in
Yes.
the plates, or whatever. I feel
Yes.
like that's how we should think about like flexibility with food. It's like the little aftershocks keep you from having this big dramatic
Ah,
earthquake, the big dramatic break where you're like, I'm gonna eat everything and go crazy.
a
I just
natural
like thought of that and I
disaster.
thought that's great.
Yeah,
So
because yeah, it
I mean,
doesn't seem. Sorry,
yeah,
go
I
ahead. Go
mean, I just
ahead.
think it happens in nature too. Like we're so in tune with nature, like as humans. I feel like everything happens the way that it's supposed to. And if you don't allow yourself those little things, you are gonna fail. You are gonna have the shame. It is gonna take you back. And I think it's okay to allow yourself to have things that you're happy, especially when you find joy in food. I find joy in food. I find
Yeah.
joy in making food. I love to eat. I love
Yep.
to cook. And it takes the joy out of it when you have all these restrictions. So I really do feel like what I working with you has helped me do is really is just helped me to kind of have a healthy relationship with food, but also understand my limitations, become more self-aware with where I'm at, with work and everything and the busyness of life, like how
Yeah.
to make it work, how to make healthy choices when I'm out, how to not attach my self-worth with food and my eating habits. I just think it's been very
Mm,
healing for me, I would say. And I
I
haven't stepped
love
on a scale in probably a month or so.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah. Close to. Close
yeah,
to. That's
just about a
huge.
month. Yeah, and I
And
still feel really good. So,
I
yeah.
love that. And
Thank you.
and so I don't know if I said this earlier, but so Nikki she was a personal client and now she's transitioning into my group coaching
Hmm.
that I'm now just kicking off. But what makes me so, I think, proud as a coach and something that really reminds me of like why I love what I do so much is when I hear my clients talk like you do, where they're empowered and what I'm teaching them actually is something that they can take with them. It's something that they'll never lose. They'll
Yeah.
always know this methodology and how to eat in alignment with their goals, how to eat balanced, meals with enough protein and fiber and all that stuff that we hear all the time. But they actually know how to do it and they know how to do it when they're on vacation in Palm Springs, right? Or
Yeah.
they're at home or at a restaurant and things like that. All different ways they can apply it everywhere. And so when I hear you say that, I'm like, that's when I feel like, okay, I'm doing a good job. It's almost like the mama bird when she's got her
Yeah.
eggs in the
Yeah.
nest and they're almost about to fly. Like I want my clients to be able to fly on their own, that they don't need me. Well, I shouldn't say that. They need me, but not as a crutch, right?
Right.
Kind of like you said, like
Exactly.
you don't have to come back and, buy those packaged foods for the month or something like that for me. Like you
Right.
know how to eat foods that are in your pantry and,
Yeah.
at the restaurant
Not
you go to.
dependent on you, but
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
I want
inspired
you.
and
Yeah.
accountable to you. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, first of all, thank you, Nikki, so much for
Thank
taking the time
you.
to do this. For those of you who are interested and want to learn more about working with me as a nutrition and weight loss coach, I do personal, one-on-one coaching as well as, like I said, group coaching. Group coaching, obviously, it's in set time. So if you're interested in the group coaching, reach out ASAP, send me a DM. I would love to sit down or talk to you about it. It takes, 20 minutes to kind of get a consultation in. Or like I said, you can do one-on-one coaching. And either way, just send me a DM. I'd be more than happy to talk with you, learn a little bit about you, what your struggles are, see if we're a good fit, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah.
So anyway, with that, girl, have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
And I'll
You're
see
the
you
best.
soon.
I appreciate you.
Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
everyone. Thank you so much for your time. And until next time, I'll be seeing you, Coach
See you
BK
later.
and Nikki. We're out.
We're out. Mwah.